So this is going to be a webinar on the event funnel report. And before we get into that, I'll introduce myself a little bit more. I'll talk a little bit about the funnel report, and then I'm going to walk through what the feature looks like. It makes way more sense when I show it, so I'm not going to spend too much time on the explanation of what it is. First off, I'm Michael Cole. I'm the CP of marketing at Everflow, and I've been with Everflow for 6 years, which in tech years is insane. So I've been here for a very long time, and it's been exciting to grow. And we use Everflow internally, so I know a ton of the platform because we use it for all of our own partnerships and marketing. So the funnel report is the best way to think about it. Is this is going to be a better way to view all of your events and how they're connected. And you can basically see a breakdown of any number of selected events and how many other events happen from those same users. And this lets you calculate things like return on investment, the shared cost across many events, and understand which your partners are delivering the kind of events you care about. So let's hop into the actual platform. So I'm using an internet guide here so that I can obscure some information. But this is basically using like a real world example, which may or may not look very similar to how we use it internally. All right, so here we are inside of the funnel report. Let me.
Michael, it's not showing.
It's not showing? Thank you.
Okay.
There we go. Is it showing now?
I'm still seeing a black screen, I'm afraid.
Let's try again. Is it working now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to be looking at a brand new analytics report that should be added to everyone's platform as of, I think, today. So now if you go under analytics, the last report down there is the funnel report. And the purpose of the funnel report is to give you a better way to look at your events and how they're interrelated. So I will go to that. So this is the inside of the funnel report. I've already set up all the data here, so it's easy to see. So basically with the funnel report, you can select the date period. So in this case, I'm looking in 2028 from March 14th to March 18th. So obviously not real data. Funnel type. So I'm doing an offer level event. I'm looking at a single offer. So basically this funnel type, there's two types. There's offer level events, and then there's advertiser events. Offer level event means that you're selecting one offer, and then it's all the events within that offer. Advertiser level events is you can have basically events that are shared across multiple different offers. And basically the advertiser is the sort of all the events are tied to the advertiser, and then you can have any number of offers that are mapped to those advertiser events. So like in our case with Everflow, we have an advertiser of Everflow, and then we have multiple different offers that are all set up under Everflow that have advertiser level events that are shared. So our default setup is that we have like one offer for our normal traffic and one offer for all of our organic traffic. And so we have basically like, if you visit our pricing page, that event can be recorded for both the main offer and for the offer for organic traffic. So that's why the advertiser level events is used. So you can have like the same event across multiple different offers. And right here under funnel type, you'll be able to select that. In this case, the target is a single offer, which in this case is called Promote Clever Glow, which is totally different than promoting Everflow. And then I'm doing a child of sub 4. So basically, child is anything you want this little arrow to open up to. So this lets you really like deep dive into your data and sort of like see exactly like what's performing. This, you can show things like, okay, like show me for this offer, like how each partner is delivering events. In this case, it's using sub 4 because with the Google SEM setup that we use, we pass our keywords under sub 4. So that's why sub 4 was selected here, even though I'll show that example later on. And then after you choose all this stuff, you can then select include media buying costs. This will pull in, if you have the cost integration with Google Ads, Facebook, or TikTok, that'll pull in all that data here. And then the next part is the add events. So under add events, you have access to all of the events within this offer. So there's a promote Clever Glow offer. You can select which events you want inside that offer to basically get reporting around. So in this case, I've selected 3 things, which is base fireside chat page, or visit fireside chat page, visit pricing page, and then the demo submit. The first one you select here is going to be the source event. So that's this data down here. So in this case, the source event is visit fireside chat page. So this 379 here is basically 379 people that triggered that event. So within your reporting, like if you went to an event report, you would see under this date that there were 379 event triggers of visit fireside chat page. What the funnel report does is it says, like, I want to understand the data of these 379 people. So the 379 people that triggered that event of visit fireside chat page, what else did they do? So it's literally looking up these 379 people and looking at like their basically the transaction ID, which is like the unique ID tied to that user. And then it says, like, for that same user, what other events did they do? So it's not like these future things like visit pricing page. The visit pricing page could have happened like a week afterwards. So basically, even though this date range is here, this date range is tied to the source event. And then the visit pricing page is those same users also went to the visit pricing pages. That could have been like 2 weeks later, but that's why this report's so valuable, because really you want to understand, like, for the event that I'm tracking, like what is happening to those users that are triggering that event. So of the people that go to our fireside chat page, those 379, 22 of them went to the pricing page and 2 of them requested demos. So now I have to understand that, like, if I'm driving people to my fireside chat page, I'm regularly getting them to check out my pricing, which means that these are users who are not only like going to a thought leadership thing that we're doing, but now they're also exploring like more on my website. They're considering, like, should I purchase Everflow, etc. So that's the visit pricing page here. And then finally, of those people, 2 of them requested the demo. Anything that you think I should mention here, Sooah?
No, I think we're good. Just a reminder, we also have a Q&A and a chat open for anybody who has any questions. I'll be answering the time as the Michael does this amazing presentation. But please keep going.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Just walking through what I just explained. And anyone who wants to see this interactive guide, we will have it available after the webinar, and then we'll be adding to the website in a week or 2. Okay. Oh yeah, that's a good thing to talk about too. So the other thing that's really interesting here is that the way this report works is there's this total funnel cost and total funnel revenue. So what total funnel cost is you can think of it as, for all these events selected, so we selected 3 events here, if there's any cost associated with any of these events, which could be like, hey, actually I pay out on the demo submit. So that cost right there, it's going into this total. So of all the activities here, it's going to say, like, okay, there's some, and I'm not showing the table, the extra like hidden sections of this right now, but you can go right here and you can add more columns to see this. And it would tell you that the associated cost with this specific event is 250. And therefore, like, there's only one cost here, which is the 250 here, and between these 3 events, and it's getting all added up here. So there's 250 costs for the demo submit because we paid out referral here, and then that goes into this total funnel cost. Same with if there was actual revenue here. Like in this case, there's no revenue tied to this because we internally don't track revenue to our demo submit. We only track revenue to a customer event. So if I added another event here for became customer, and I could take that, say like the final one, like becoming a customer is $1,000. If I added that event to the end of here and there was 1 customer, then the total funnel revenue would be 1,000. So basically the amount of events you add here, it's going to aggregate all of the cost and all of the revenue here. And the reason this is cost and not payout is because total funnel cost includes both all of your partner payouts and all of your media buying costs. So this gives you like a full total of, for every event here, what was all of the cost associated with it? What was all the revenue associated with it? So if you have other events, which are things like, hey, they upgrade for another year, they did an upsell, they completed like the lead, etc. Any of those things can be sort of tracked and aggregated together to understand like total revenue, total payout, and any other costs with it. So it's a really useful way to understand like truly how much are you paying for some of these things. Okay, next up. So now this is looking at like a couple of specific examples. So it's a little bit changed out this time. Now in this case, the child is for partner because I want to see how my performance is for specific partners. And in this case, I've selected just 4 partners here because I want to make it easy for us to anonymize some of this data. So in here, we have promote Cleverglow. And then I open this up to see the partners that actually drove this event. So even though I selected 4 partners here, one of them didn't have any visit Fireside Chat page events. So that's why they're not showing up here. So we have a newsletter, we have LinkedIn social, and we have a product guide. And I can see that 75 people came from the newsletter to visit the Fireside Chat page. 11 came from social to visit the Fireside Chat page. And 4 came from the product guide to visit the Fireside Chat page. And then I can see that of the people that came from the newsletter, 3 of them went to the pricing page. And of the 4 people that went to the product guide, all 4 of them went to the pricing page. And that makes sense. Like, basically with this product guide, like that, what I'm showing you right now is what like a product guide. So that's what we consider there. But basically it makes sense that if you're deep diving into the platform enough to see our product guides, like you're pretty serious about actually considering purchasing Everflow. And so right here, we have the visit Fireside Chat page where 4 people came from the guide. And of those 4 people that went and visited Fireside Chat page, 4 of them also visited the pricing page. So the reason I mention this is like, that's something important to understand about this report is like, this is like, if I switch this over and I said visit pricing page as a source event and then visit Fireside Chat page as a second event, I might have 50 people visiting the pricing page, but only 4 as a source event, and then only 4 went to the visit Fireside Chat page. So all of this data is working off the source event you select. So for this source event, we're only looking at these 87 people that fired off this. And then of those 87 people, 7 of them went to the pricing page. And it just happens to be that of the 4 people that visit the Fireside Chat page, those people also visit the pricing page. So like the reason I mention that is like, there may be way more people that visit the pricing page than Fireside Chat page, but this report is saying for whatever source event I select, I want to know what those users did. So it's not like a natural progression of like, okay, this step, then this step, this step. It's more like for these users, what else did they do among all of my events? Any questions or anything else you think I should clarify there, Sooah?
Maybe you already went through it, and then maybe I just missed it when I was answering questions. But maybe we can open up the like a graph, because I believe that's a big part of this report. Or is it coming up next?
Yeah, I could, but unfortunately, our interactive like guide tool can't play the graph right. So because we're using an interactive guide for this, it doesn't function properly with the graph. So definitely please check it out yourself and check out the graph, because the graph is super helpful for seeing this data. I just unfortunately can't use it in the presentation.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. All right. Going through the stuff I just talked about. Okay, so now I'm going to walk through an example of media buying. So this is where like some of the stuff I was talking about of like getting the revenue and cost data gets really useful. So I'm going back to an offer level event, the main offer, and then this time I have the child of sub 4. As I was mentioning earlier, sub 4 is what we use internally for getting our keyword data. So that's why it's sub 4. You can pass keywords under anything from like sub 1 through sub 5, and it will basically pull in that data with every single click you get from Google. You'll know what keyword drove it. And then I have selected include media buying costs. So I'm getting all of the actual cost data coming through. And then I'm only looking at my partner, Google SEM here. So I'm just looking at my Google Ads campaigns. And the events I have here are, hey, did they submit a demo? And then what happened after they submitted a demo? So the earlier examples I was showing you like an engagement example. In this case, I'm looking at purely like what happens after someone requests a demo. So we have, they request a demo, then we use a HubSpot integration internally. So we have all the stages of our customer journey from a qualifying the lead to, so marketing qualified lead in our case means like they used a company email with the lead. So that suggests it's probably a higher quality demo request because a lot of the generic ones tend to be the spam ones. So marketing qualified lead is using a company email. Next up is opportunity. So opportunity for us means that the salesperson has done a demo with them and is pretty confident that that person will eventually buy Everflow. So that's what opportunity means to us. And then finally, customer. So customer obviously is like once they actually like sign the contract and they're going to be paying. So that's what I'm looking at here is the progression from demo submit to becoming a customer for specifically my paid Google Ads campaigns. So during this date period that this data is changed around, I can see that there was 244 demo submits. And then of those demo submits, the cost of those 244 demo submits was $51,000. So my total cost, because I have no other costs associated with it, because that's everything that I spent here, because there's no payouts or anything else, that means that the total funnel cost is also the $51,000 because media buying cost is the only thing here. And then here's the revenue that I earned on that. So I earned $39,000 and I spent $51,000. So that would suggest that I'm in the hole, or maybe I'm not showing my full revenue to Everflow, which is fine. Or maybe like there's some stuff that wasn't being tracked properly. There's lots of potential data things, but like it's still really helpful to get an idea of like what's working and what's not and how much you're spending for some of these things. So of those 244 demo submits, 108 of them became marketing qualified leads. What that means is that this progression rate is basically the calculation of 108 divided by 244. So only 44% of the demo submits I received from Google Ads actually had a company email. And in our case, that means that almost all the other ones are basically never going to even have any potential becoming a customer. They tend to be like bots and spam, etc. So already I'm down to only 44% of them having any chance of becoming a potential customer. There's also this time delta, which I was hiding in the last example. But it's really useful if you're trying to understand some of these like later stage things. So I can see that like from the time I received these 244 submits, on average, 6 hours and 45 minutes later, I marked them as marketing qualified leads. So it took a couple hours for that data to pass into Everflow from HubSpot to say, hey, you sent us a demo submit. Here's the contact information. It's a company email. Then that 108 passed here. So the time delta is the average time it took for this event to trigger from the source event. Okay, so of the 108, how many of them actually have a chance to become customers? So that's opportunities in our case. In this case, it's 24. So only 9.8% of these original 244 demo requests actually have a chance to become customers, with sales talking to them and sales being pretty confident they win. So now I have this data here to understand, like, what does that mean? So effectively, I'm paying $2,100 here per like actual person who might become a customer. So like it is quite expensive for me to get like legit leads with enough buyer intent that they're probably actually going to become an Everflow customer. So it's really easy for us to do this, and like getting this information super helpful. When we did our own, like working with our like Google Ads rep and getting advice from Google, the first thing they had us do with our campaign was to map out all of the different CRM stages and how much we were willing to pay for all of them and how much revenue we would generate from them. And it was a painful process to calculate that out. But now with this funnel report, it's really easy for us to just sort of like instantly understand like, hey, right now I'm paying $2,100 per opportunity and I'm making $1,600 per opportunity based on the data inside of Everflow. And then the final stage is customer. So this is where this total funnel revenue is coming from, is basically right here. So of these 244 people, 6 of them became customers. So, and then I'm saying that the value of these 6 customers, the total revenue generated from that is $6,500 per customer. And then 6 times 6,500 is how they get this total funnel revenue of 39,000. So it's basically like giving you a deep picture into how much revenue and cost to associate with each of these events based on the total data between all the events and from the users of that source event. So of the original 244 people that requested a demo, 6 became a customer, and the revenue per customer was $6,500. Any questions on this? Cool. And so feel free to hop in if anyone has any questions. Just going through that. Okay, so last example here is just to give you an idea of sort of like how useful this is once you have this set up to really go deep into your data to understand what's working. So in this case, I'm using media buying, but you can just as easily use this with like, say, your affiliates to understand like which affiliates or partners are delivering the sort of like events that are driving real revenue or driving a ton of engagement. Like it's much easier to understand like your top performing partners that are driving the events you care about. You can even use it with your partners and all of their sub affiliates or their sub networks and everything else. Like it's really easy to just dig super deep into the data to understand like who's truly driving the events you care about. In this case, I'm using the media buying example again. And like I said, under sub 4, we're passing our keyword data. And then I filtered for just 4 sub keywords just to make this example easy to understand. So in here, when I expand it out here on the media buying, I'm seeing these 4 keywords that I've filtered for. So then I can see like, okay, like of these 178 demo requests that came from these 4 keywords, how does that break out? So I can see like for my first keyword, coolest software, I had 100 people request a demo. For puppy mobilization platforms, I had 36. For dog grooming payments software, I had 26. And for corgi monetization SDK, I had 16. So now I'm seeing a breakdown of where these demo submits are actually coming from for those selected keywords. You'll notice that there's no cost here. So the reason there's no cost here is because the way that our media buying integrations work is that we are pulling all the cost data for your entire like campaigns and setup inside of Google Ads. And that's basically like all of the data. It's not that Google Ads doesn't provide that data on the keyword level. So because I'm filtering for a couple specific keywords, our reporting is smart enough to be like, hey, like we have no idea how much cost was tied to those specific keywords. So we're just going to not show you that data. So that's why there's no cost here. It's just because to make this example digestible to display, I did some filtering for specific keywords. And that's why it's like, okay, because it doesn't make sense to show it there. We won't show you any data at all. That being said, though, the revenue data is accurate. So because it knows that this specific keyword has revenue tied to it, it can show you that data. So here I can see for cool software, I got 100 demo requests, and the revenue from that was $13,000. So where did that 13,000 revenue come from? Well, as we talked about before, you go to the end, there was one customer from Coolest Software. And in this case, the revenue from that one customer was $13,000. So it pulled that data back here to say, hey, of all these events selected here, there's $13,000 revenue tied to it. I also know that of these 100 people that requested a demo, 20 of them were sales qualified leads. So in the prior example, I was showing opportunities. In this example, I'm showing sales qualified leads, which for us means sales actually booked a demo with them. So of the 100 people that came in requesting a demo, only 20 of them actually booked demos with our sales team. And basically that means that effectively my revenue per demo being booked from this keyword was $650. And then I'll look at the last one. So Corgi monetization SDK keyword, 16 people requested a demo, and I can tell there's revenue. So that means that another customer came from that keyword for $13,000. Hence, I know 16 demos ended up driving $13,000. And I can say that of the 16, only 3 people actually were sales qualified. So this keyword wasn't very relevant in terms of people actually requesting demos. But of the people that did request demos, like one of them was a really good fit. So I got a customer out. So only 18% of my people booked demos from this keyword. But one of those 3 people ended up booking or like becoming a customer. So I have a lot of revenue tied to it. Any questions or comments on this, Sooah?
Not a question, but we actually had a Q&A while you were doing the presentation asking if this feature is actually live. It is live, and our help desk article is also live, so you can actually go check out the report right now as you're listening and watching Michael's demo at the same time.
Yep, and in the help desk is the interactive guide that we're walking through today with each of the different steps and explanations of what I'm talking about. So definitely make sure to take a little time to look through that and sort of take this step by step, because it's once you use it a few times, it's like very intuitive. But obviously it requires like sitting down, exploring it to understand like just how powerful it is. But to me, like this is by far the easiest way for me to understand who's driving like my events. And after we like had this report set up and we started looking through it, we actually went back to our offer setup and then added like 15 more events. So now if you basically do anything on the Everflow website, there's an event that triggers like, hey, you visited our blog. Hey, you visited our fireside chat pages. Hey, you visited our like action plans. So every single page, like we're tracking that visit. So now I can say like, hey, if you went to our affiliate white paper guide, like, did you end up checking out pricing afterwards? Did you become a demo? Did you become a customer? So now I can sort of see like of those users that go to a certain section of my website, how many of those are ultimately becoming customers? And this is like enormously powerful as a marketing leader to understand like where to focus my efforts and where to focus my time towards like, if I'm getting a ton of customers from like say a white paper, I'm going to double down that as a strategy. So that's the marketing leader use case. From like the more like affiliate manager use case, it's more like, okay, like let me understand like the full, like which of my partners are actually driving like high value events, whether that's like just a purchase. You can look at things like, did they drive any upsells? Did they drive people that came back and purchased again? Did they drive subscribers? All of these things are really useful to understand. Like actually, like some of these partners are really over delivering on these later stage events. Like I either should start paying them on that, or I should ramp up their activities because like it makes me look really good to have this much engagement happening. And you can also use this for like fraud mitigation, because it's really easy to be like, okay, for this one partner, let me like you should always have your partners passing their placement IDs under sub 1 through sub 5 if you can. So if you have a partner who's passing their placements, their sub affiliates under sub 1, and then you're looking at your data and you realize that like one of their like placements is driving a ton of conversions and basically no engagement events and no other events, that's very suspicious. Might be incent traffic, might be something where they're just not sending you good users. So in that case, then you can go back to your partner and be like, hey, please shut off please shut off placement 25 because it's not quality. Like, you could always do that through like dimensional analytics and stuff, but this is an even easier way to sort of like look at all your data based on like what's driving events.
So I think you just addressed one of the questions that we had as well, from Siraj, who was asking if for an affiliate, would you be able to break it down by traffic source? So
Yes.
in adding to what Michael just mentioned, the answer simply put is yes, as long as that information is sent to Everflow by the partner in one of like source ID or sub 1 to 5 parameters, you can definitely break it down by the traffic source, and again, like use it for optimization of your campaign using other tools within Everflow, even like Smart Switch.
All right, that's it from my side in terms of the interactive guide. And then if you have any questions or anything else, like now is a great time for anything that was not covered already.
While we wait on that, I also want to mention that we always look forward to hearing feedback from our clients, especially for a new feature, so we can go forth, improve it, perfect it, and make sure it's being used the way that we hoped it to be used. So please let us know, reach out to support if you have any feedback. We always appreciate that. There were lots of questions throughout the presentation, but if you have any that you didn't have time to answer or didn't know that there was a Q&A section, this would be a great place to ask. I'll give it a minute or two for that. And if there's no other questions, I think we can wrap it up.
Great. Yeah, feel free to let us know. And also, like, if you have any questions after this, you can always email support@everflow.io to speak with our CS team and get extra help with the report and everything. And then if you have any sort of like feedback on the product or anything about how we use it internally, you can always feel free to email me directly at michael@everflow.io. Always happy to talk about how we use Everflow ourselves and some of the really cool use cases from pulling in all this data.
Okay. I
think that wraps it up. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.